What's going on, my fellow high-stim pre-workout and pump enthusiasts? Hope you guys are off to a great start to your week. Hope you guys are crushing it in the gym. I'm happy you decided to tune in today because I have a brand new brand that is making their debut right here on the high-stim Ace YouTube channel. These guys are called Intellekt Lifestyle. Now, I've been in touch with them for a couple of months, and they were in the process of manufacturing new batches of their products. I think they've only been around for 1 or 2 years. They're a relatively new company, but I was intrigued by the labels. There's nothing too crazy on here. There's no illicit, nothing insane, no gray area ingredients, but the formulas look really tight-knit, really on point, minimalist, but everything seems to have a purpose. So I got in touch with them, and they finally were ready to ship out 2 of their flagship products. We got the high-stim pre-workout known as HYPR, sorry. HYPR is their high-stim pre-workout, which I have right here in hand, and they also were generous enough to send me their pump formula, simply known as Pumped, which is really, really nice. They're simplistic looking tubs, nothing too crazy on here, no holographic 3D graphics, simple, clean aesthetic, very modern to the point, but most importantly, we care about what's actually inside the tub, not what's on the exterior. So let's not waste any more time. Let's roll that freaking intro, and when we come back, we are going to debut Intellekt Lifestyle on the high-stim Ace YouTube channel. All right, guys, we got the 2 Intellekt tubs right over here. Very simple, very to the point, and I like how they contrast off of each other right here. You have the HYPR high-stim pre-workout, and we're going to discuss that in a moment because the label doesn't particularly read like a crazy high-stim pre-workout, but that's because we are stim junkies, and this is the high-stim Ace YouTube channel. Nonetheless, this here is the Cherry Rocket Pop flavor, which I will get to in a moment. It is a delicious flavor. Very nice, simplistic design. You got the Intellekt logo over here, which I really dig. And they replicated it right here for the pump formula. This one's called Pumped. This is stim-free, tiger's blood flavor, 20 servings per container. Overall, really nice. And these 2 tubs side by side have a very nice contrast. You got the fierce red for the high-stim pre-workout, and then the nice baby blue for the pump formula. Overall, really sleek, really modern, and high-stim Ace gives it the seal of approval. All right, guys, so now that you saw what the tubs actually look like, it's pretty simple and to the point, but I'm completely okay with it. Like I mentioned earlier, the labels are very intellectually concocted, very tight-knit, very simple and to the point, and that's honestly the way that I preferred, especially when it comes to daily driver pre-workouts and pump formulas. No need to overcomplicate it as long as everything works, and if it tastes good, that's just an added bonus, but overall, this seems like a very nice formula when it comes to the high-stim pre-workout as well as the pump formula. Now, I did get to test out both these products. I ran the HYPR pre-workout 2 times, I ran the Pumped 3 times, and I stacked it with different products, so I got a really good feel of how to break this down for you. So let's not waste any more time. We're going to go over both labels very quickly, and I will tell you my experience. We're going to begin with the flavor. We have the HYPR pre-workout over here. This is the Cherry Rocket Pop flavor, and I gotta say that as far as Rocket Pops go, this flavor is poppin'. I really freaking like it. Imagine just drinking a Rocket Pop flavored pre-workout, which we know that there are plenty of those, but it kind of emphasizes the cherry portion of the Rocket Pop a little bit more than the others. So you have the blue, the white, and the red in a traditional Rocket Pop. Imagine that flavor, but with like 30% more cherry. This one's really good. I always like the red bit of those pops the most, personally speaking, so I really enjoyed it. There's no food coloring in here whatsoever. It's just a nice, clear, white type of liquid. Goes down easy, tastes really good, especially when you mix it with ice cold water. Man, this thing is freaking delicious. Now, speaking of delicious, boys, we got tiger's blood in here. Now, if you guys have been watching the high-stim Ace channel for a while, you know that tiger's blood is a very, very hit or miss flavor for me. I've had some tiger bloods that were really, really delicious, such as Rect from Huge Supplements. They call it the panther's blood, but it's a tiger's blood, let's be real. So that one tastes delicious. Then you have the other extreme, KJ Labs Smash AMF tiger's blood. If you know, you know. This one here, I'm happy to say right off the bat, when you open this thing, it has a very unique twist on the traditional tiger's blood because the first thing you're going to smell in here is a toasted coconut. And I've never gotten that specific scent when smelling any other tiger's blood. Usually you have the watermelon, the strawberry, or sometimes when they add the cherry in there. The coconut's always in the background. The coconut's always like 20% of the flavor, if even that much, and you could definitely never smell it. But here, Oh my God, that's the first thing you're getting, like fresh toasted coconut flakes. But surprisingly, it doesn't really translate over to the flavor. The smell is very pleasant. I personally like coconut. I don't know about you guys. I love me some coconut, but the flavor doesn't translate exactly the way that the smell has you feeling. You're going to think it's very coconut heavy. It's not. It's a little bit more pungent than other similar tiger's blood flavors and maybe has like 10-15% more of that coconut intensity, but nothing off putting. Very well balanced, very delicious, and I really, really enjoyed it. They're both amazing flavors. I think they have a couple of other flavors on the website, but these are the two that I picked, and I'm glad that I did. So we're going to start off by breaking down the pump formula first because I feel like it's a little bit more exciting to delve into the pre-workout, especially since they're claiming high stim, and this is the high-stim ace channel after all. But you're getting 20 servings in here, 18.69 grams per one scoop, and one scoop is the full serving size. And luckily, one scoop comes in exactly at 19 grams. So you're getting the exact serving size. You don't have to worry. You don't have to second guess yourself. You're ready to roll. So we're going to begin with sodium from pink Himalayan salt, 118 milligrams, chloride also from Himalayan salt, 182 milligrams, and choline from alpha GBC at 150 milligrams. So a little extra nootropic effect there. And now we're going to begin with the actual meat and potatoes of the label. We start off with L-citrulline at 6 grams for the pumps, which is a solid amount, and more about this specific dosage a little bit later. Everybody in this day and age expects pump formulas to have like 10 grams of citrulline. You don't need 10 grams of citrulline, okay? Especially when it comes to stacking this on top of other products, which we will get into in a moment, okay? We're going to break everything down, make sure you don't go anywhere. We got some hydroprime in here, which is glycerol powder standardized at 65% to prevent any of that clumping. You're getting 3 grams of that, so obviously not enough to reap all of the glycerol benefits, but it's enough to kind of puff you up a little bit and really synergize with the citrulline. So you're getting the vascularity from the citrulline, a little bit of that bloaty pump from the actual glycerol, so it's a very good combination overall. You're getting betaine anhydrous for strength output at 2.5 grams, which is the clinical dose, taurine, which is an all-around kind of ingredient for endurance and a whole bunch of other benefits, 1.5 grams, actually a very solid amount of taurine, L-norvaline for additional nootropic focus, 300 milligrams, alpha GBC, 50% yield, 300 milligrams, so a little bit on the low end, okay, but again, this product is meant to stack on top of other products, at least in my opinion. I wouldn't run this one solo for a training session, even if I'm trying to train non-stim. So we're going to talk about all that, but the alpha GBC dose in here is relatively low. We got some Himalayan salt at 300 milligrams, which is good for pumps. Vasodrive AP 254 milligrams for more pumps. Estrogen for absorption 50 milligrams, and huperzine A for focus at 100 micrograms. Now here we have the HYPR high-stim pre-workout, and I will be the judge of whether this is a high-stim pre-workout or not. We're going to talk about that momentarily. This one yields 21.9 grams per scoop, 20 servings per container, and coming in on the scale, it's exactly 22 grams. So thank God that they actually tested out the scoopers before putting them in the tubs because they are exactly accurate, and I really do appreciate that. You're getting sodium at 118 milligrams, chloride at 182 milligrams, and choline at 300 milligrams. So far, we got the exact same start to the label. We're getting L-citrulline at 6 grams, beta-alanine for the tingle at 3.2 grams, betaine anhydrous for strength output, 2.5 grams, L-tyrosine, 2.5 grams, very, very beautiful dose of one of my favorite nootropics. Anywhere from 1 to 4 grams is good for me, but I always prefer it a little bit higher, anywhere from like 2.5 to 3 grams. Going up to 4 grams for me is a perfect sweet spot. So with 2.5, they really got it down. I really like it. Taurine at 1.5 grams for additional benefits. Alpha GBC 50%, 600 milligrams. So that is the clinical dose, even though certain pre-workouts go up to 800 or even 1,000 milligrams. 600 is more than enough, especially if you're stacking this with something else. You got Himalayan pink salt at 300 milligrams, caffeine anhydrous at 300 milligrams. Great daily driver dose. Not a high-stim junkie dose for sure, especially not for high-stim ace and for the viewers of the high-stim ace channel, but I like 300 milligrams. That's really good. Now, the next ingredient is where it gets a little bit questionable, okay? And labels are just labels in the end of the day, but we do have L-theanine coming in here at 250 milligrams, which is a bit of a puzzling choice, considering there isn't a crazy stim package in here. There's no alpha-O or ariogenesis or anything gray area in here. So to me, I personally wouldn't have put the theanine in here, especially because it's almost at a 1-to-1 ratio with the caffeine. Usually you put an L-theanine in a crazy stim junkie formula to kind of take off the edge, but there's nothing in here to really give you an edge from the get-go, so I personally wouldn't put that in there. But again, labels are just labels. The real world effects are what matters most. We're going to continue with theobromine coming in at 100 milligrams. So that is the little cousin to caffeine derived from cocoa. And it's also going to add a nice, smooth little bit of stimulation. We have some dicaffeine malate at 50 milligrams. So that yields, I do believe, 75%. So you're getting like 35 milligrams of long-lasting caffeine, which isn't all that much. Estrogen for absorption at 50 milligrams. And that is going to round off this high-stim pre-workout label. Before HYPR breaks down my experience running the Intellekt Lifestyle products, HYPR and Pumped, over the past week and a half, don't forget to like this video, comment below, share the channel with a fellow stim junkie or a pre-workout and pump enthusiast, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. So I ran the Pumped pre-workout 3 times over the past week and a half, and I never ran it on its own because this isn't something I would reach for if I wanted to train non-stim. It's relatively loaded in certain regards, but it's also lacking in other ways, which means I wouldn't take it on its own for an evening training session. Even if I want to train non-stim, there are plenty of better options out there. You have Bare Knuckle from Apollo Nutrition, you have Sicario from Extremis Cartel, and Pump Serum from Huge Supplements. 3 of my favorites, by the way, and there's a couple of others, but those are really loaded non-stim pre-workouts, meaning they have massive doses of nootropics and hydration ingredients and strength output ingredients, and also obviously a massive emphasis on pumps, just without any stimulants. So this one here kind of falls somewhere in the middle. I wouldn't call this just a straight up pump formula, because pump formulas usually just have like 4 to 5 ingredients, really just focusing on pumps and nothing else. And that makes it very easy to stack on top of pre-workouts that are essentially stim blends. Now this one here kind of falls somewhere in the middle. You do have the citrulline at 6 grams, which is a respectable dose. And that does mean you could stack it on a pre-workout that has either 0 citrulline, right, such as Dark Labs Flame or Insane Labs Psychotic, right? Those are stim bombs that have 0 citrulline, or really any of the pre-workouts that I reviewed from high-stim-preworkout.com. Those are just crazy stimulant and illicit blends that have like essentially no pumps. So this is a great option to add to something like that. But where it does shine is the fact that you can add this to something that already has some pumps in there. So there are certain pre-workouts, maybe daily driver pre-workouts or medium stim pre-workouts, that will have like 4 to 5 grams of L-citrulline, right? And you maybe want to add a little bit more pumps to it. This is a great option because it also has a little bit of nootropics, but not to the point where it takes it to the next level, right? You do have the betaine and hydrogen here that also adds a little bit of strength output. You have the taurine, which is just a great ingredient to add overall. Like I said, endurance, hydration, and extra energy in the gym. It really kind of works in a lot of ways. The pumps you get on here are very, very solid, right? These are really good pumps, but this isn't a comprehensive non-stim pre-workout. This is more of a pump formula with a little bit of extra ingredients in there for performance, for athletic performance. And you can really stack this pretty much on top of anything, unless it's a pre-workout that already has more than 6 grams of citrulline, in which case I wouldn't stack it. So I'm assuming that people do stack it together with the HYPR pre-workout, and theoretically you could do that, right? There's no reason, there's nobody stopping you from doing that, but to me personally, 6 grams of citrulline in here, 6 grams of citrulline in here brings it up to 12. At that point, you're going to get diminishing returns, you're going to pee a lot of it out, and it just kind of defeats the purpose, right? So I personally wouldn't stack these two together. You guys can do whatever you want. It's 2025. If you want to stack the two, by all means, stack the two. Now, this one on its own, I personally wouldn't add anything to it. This is a great top shelf daily driver kind of experience. First of all, the pumps you're going to get on here are pretty solid. It's nothing mind blowing, but this gives you the option to add pump capsules or a little bit of liquid glycerol. I personally wouldn't add more citrulline to it. Again, if you guys want to do 1 scoop of each, by all means, do 1 scoop of each. But this is a very, very solid daily driver that I can literally take 5-6 days a week, and there's no issues. There's no tolerance building up to anything. There's no negative side effects, no elevated heart rate, no shortness of breath, no stimmy willy, right? So you don't have to worry about any of that stuff. You know exactly what you're getting in here. This is not a high-stim pre-workout, but this is a very solid daily driver. You're going to start feeling the nootropic focus coming in at about the 10 to 12 minute mark. You're going to feel good, motivated, nice bit of energy from that caffeine and theobromine, but nothing too crazy. It's just enough to take on a weeknight if you're going to the gym at like 6:30 at night, like I do a lot of nights. And I don't want to be too hopped up. I don't want to get the heart rate going up. I don't want to stay awake until 2 o'clock in the morning and being tweaked out and kind of hopped up and not knowing what to do with myself. this is a great pre-workout. And I ran it both times in the evening time, trained for about an hour, hour and 10 minutes, which is enough for me. Not every workout session has to be a 2.5 hours of high-stim ace with wide eyes and hopped up and crazy. This is a solid daily driver, and it also doesn't cost all that much compared to other comparable products. You're getting 20 servings. It tastes really good, and it's pretty flexible. If you guys want to stack stuff on top of this, you have your Alpha Yo capsules, you got your Araya Genesis capsules, you got your 2-amino. You guys want to get a little crazy mad chemist illicit with it, you could do it because this is a complete package right here. You're getting a good amount of pumps. Obviously, you could stack a little bit more if you want to, but you're getting just enough nootropics in here, just enough stimulation to get you going, and you got some athletic and hydration benefits as well. So overall, this is a solid package, and it tastes really good too. This actually tastes really freaking delicious. So I know that flavor is the least important thing when it comes to these pre-workouts, but when it comes to high-stim pre-workouts, obviously who the hell cares about the flavor? But if I'm taking a daily pre-workout, then I feel like flavor is a little bit more important. If this is a product I want to run 3, 4, 5 days a week, then I think flavor should matter a little bit more than if you're taking something of the illicit variety where you're just shooting it down to get the crazy hopped up effect. Now, the pump formula, again, is really, really solid. I really like it. It's pretty much a complete package. You're getting a nice mix of vascular and swole pumps. As you guys could see, high-stim ace is pretty jacked after running this one today. I'm feeling pretty good, and it's just a good product. You can really stack this on top of a lot of stuff. Just like I said, I personally wouldn't stack this on anything that has more than 5 grams of citrulline in there, but that's just me personally. If you guys don't mind having 12, 13, 14 grams of citrulline in your system, by all means, stack it on whatever the heck you want. But this thing tastes delicious. I would use it just for stacking. I wouldn't run it on its own, but I'm sure people have ran it on its own, and I'm sure people had great results doing that as well. Overall, I really like these products. They're very clean. They taste good, and it feels like something you can run every day without having any issues. So if you guys are interested in picking up one or both of these products, you can head over to the official Intellekt Lifestyle website using discount code ACE15 at checkout, which will save you 15% off your entire order and help support the high-stim ace YouTube channel. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. I hope you enjoyed this review, and I hope I broke it down enough. There isn't really anything crazy to dissect in here. There isn't anything to really deep dive into, but these are both very solid products, stuff you can use every single day. It feels clean. It feels healthy. There's no negative side effects. Only positives as far as I'm concerned, but obviously don't go into this expecting a crazy high-stim pre-workout experience. This isn't going to get you hopped up. It's not going to get you going crazy and tweaking, but there is a very nice sharp focus that comes with this pre-workout from that 2.5 grams of tyrosine. You're getting a little bit of extra nootropics in the form of alpha GBC, and you're getting a bunch of athletic performance boosting ingredients, as well as some good pumps. So overall, very solid, and so far I'm very impressed with the debut of Intellekt Lifestyle, and I'm really curious and excited to see what is next on the horizon. If you guys enjoyed this review, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the little bell to get all of my notifications, all of the latest updates. Follow me on Instagram at high-stim ace, and I will see you all next time for the next high-stim pre-workout review. Take care, everybody. High-stim ace, signing off.